Hi guys, in today's video I would like to show you the logic behind one of my very well-liked tattoo piece. This is a chest piece of crane and a bunch of flowers. I just ran a shading workshop last week and some of my students were asking how did I design my big pieces tattoos. So I thought it might be helpful if I can show you what is the thinking process behind, when I was doing my designs. Today, I mainly want to share my design thoughts around the motions and how to create the tension across the body for this piece. So let's take a look. For this piece of tattoo, I actually made two versions because I'm Ascendant Libra and I can never decide on certain things. Like if there's two choices, it's very hard for me to decide on one of them. So a lot of times I do make two versions of designs and I'll ask my client to choose one of it. These are the two photos I showed my client of the final design, and she picked the other one because, this one do look cleaner. This version is slightly different. There is more motion in the design, like the flowers, the amaranths are getting blown by wind and the clouds are a little bit more moving around. But in terms of what looks as a good tattoo, a lot of times a simple design or, something that looks simplified can actually look better on skin. And it's not just for skin, it's also for other formats of art as well. It is one of those important things I learned from Chen Jie, who is a very good tattoo artist in Chinese painting style. I think it was 2020 or something. I went to her workshop for like 20 days. I felt like the most important thing I learned from her workshop is that she does a great job simplifying her tattoos. And I'm still trying to improve that in my designs, but it's very difficult because it is so easy to add elements onto the design, but it's never simple to take it away. And I personally feel like the taking away is something every artist should learn to do because we live in a world that's, have too much noise to make something very outstanding that has a straightforward message across. It has to be simplified. So let's go back to this piece of design and let me show you how did I plan this out. The first thing that makes a big piece of tattoo that's very different from a small piece of tattoo is that a small tattoo, let's say 4-inch, 3-inch size of tattoo, is almost like a sticker. It is like a one layer thing that it doesn't have contrast in between the layers. It doesn't even have multiple layers. But for something large, for example, this is a chest piece. It is very large, and for the size, it has to have multiple layers. So let me explain in this design what are those layers. So the first layer in this tattoo design, which is the main element requested by the client, it is the two cranes. That's the first layer. The second layer in this tattoo is also a main element requested by the client, which are the flowers, amaranths. It's these red hanging flowers. They look very romantic. The third layer is another flower requested by my client, which are those pink flowers. I already forget the name because this project was from 2 years ago. It was a while ago. And then there is a fourth layer, which is the grass over here. These are the elements I added to this piece of design. So when I'm doing a tattoo, I usually tell my clients ahead of time that I will look at the design and maybe put some random elements in there to complete the design. And, everyone always say yes to it. So I'm really lucky I get the freedom to pick and choose some random elements. Well, I usually do flowers and, leaves and stuff just to complete the design. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then there is a sixth layer of the element, which is the clouds. Those clouds behind that is also an element that I added to it to complete the design. And then there is a 7th element. The last element is the gray background that actually has a gradient, as you can see from the tattoo that's finalized. My client, when she came in, she already had 2 sleeves that's done, and one side of the sleeve has white blank background and the other side of sleeve has like a dark background. It's like a reverse space design. So when she came to me for this chest piece of tattoo, one important request is that I must help her to connect those two sleeves. Otherwise, you have sleeve, chest sleeve. If it cannot be connected, it will look super messy. So why do I have all these layers here? It's because I need this piece to be complicated enough to support the size of it. It is just personal opinion, but I think if it doesn't have enough layers, it can not have enough depth for the art to be sophisticated enough. Let's assume something large doesn't have a lot of layers. Usually it looks kind of simple. For example, if I would have made a big dragon with skin background, maybe client would be happy about it when it's just done because it's fresh and it's exciting. But after a year or a few years of looking at it, it will feel very simple. It would feel like it's lacking something. And the client would want to add stuff to it, which is a real thing that happens a lot in real life. A lot of times, clients get tattoos, they're happy about it, but after a few years, they want to add things to it. It is because that tattoo is not designed to be good enough for it to be liked for many, many years. And it's very personal opinion, but I believe if a piece of tattoo design is complicated enough and deep enough, the customer and also other audience would never feel tired of looking at it. And that makes this piece of tattoo a good design. So let's come back to this piece of design. Let me tell you something else besides this many layers of tattoo. So let's come back to the first layer of cranes, which is the main element. So besides the multiple layers, I like my tattoo elements to have some motion inside the elements. You could understand it as the posture of the animals. I want them to show that they are having a conversation. So inside each layer, this crane here is looking at this way, and this crane here is looking to that way, which creates a tension going like that, which is a type of tension that I like a lot for the chest pieces. Two of my favorite tensions for chest piece, one is going slanted like that, from like going from shoulder to the other side of armpit. The other one is running across horizontal. So if you know anything about architect design, before people design a space, before they look into the materials, the colors, and how to plan a space, there is actually a stage when architects and interior designers look into how the users, which is the owner of the house, how the users move around in this house. I forget the actual name for it, but for example, if you're going from the bathroom to the bedroom, that is your daily routine, and they have to plan this route for this path to be clear. They have to plan a way that you can move around in the room and your moving map should make sense. So that stage is similar to what I'm doing here. Before I even put down the design, I look into the shape of the body. That's the shoulder. And I think about what creates a good tension for this part of body. This is a chest piece, which is very nice because it's kind of like a big rectangle space. My favorite tension goes this way and this way because I just feel like it makes a lot of sense if you're creating a tension there. This way and the horizontal way looks nice. So let's go back to our design. So I picked for the main element, which are the cranes, to go that way. And then I actually put down another tension, which was the background clouds. I made the background clouds having a horizontal tension. That way, my tattoo actually do have tension for both these sides. You know what? Let me just import the final tattoo because that's a little less messy than my designs. So the two cranes here create some tension going this way, which lead people's eye to look into the middle area of her chest because I want to drive the attention away from her both sleeves. The reason is because she used to have two sleeves separated, but now I'm creating this chest piece to connect everything. So I wouldn't want there to be 3 different focus centers. If I did not drive the focus center to the middle of it, I would have boom, 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 3 spots of focus centers, and that would be really, really messy. So actually one of the first tasks I had for myself is that I have to create attention that drives audience attention to the middle. So that way people's attention don't get to drag to the side of it. And then that would make everything on her body as a whole. So that was actually one of my first thought, and also the reason why I created attention like this and this is also because then it makes a cross in the middle. It is not the same as if you put a big element in the middle, because I could do that. I could put like a huge crane in the middle of her chest, but to my opinion, that would look a little bit silly and not sophisticated enough. So instead of doing that, I put the crane to the side, but I ran attention cross to the middle, as I explained. It is still not enough after I created that attention cross. So I need something else to emphasize it. When we come to the third layer of elements, which is the red hang amaranth flower, the tension goes like that and that. That was my thinking process when I put down the design. Well, on the piece of paper, when I was doing the design, I already knew that on top of this piece of design over here, because there is a neck and there's shoulders here, so I would have to adjust all those top elements when I was doing the stencil. That was exactly what I did. So when it came to the tattoo day, I adjusted the flowers to be this shape, which if you take away all the other element, all the other layers, even by itself, just the flowers, this is attention that makes sense for the chest area. And then for the next element, which are those flowers, I forget the name, they're called crites or something, kind of like roses. They are bigger flowers, and the shape of this element itself, of the flower itself, is quite complicated. It cannot be a background. That was my thought, because I would fit in here if she did not have that sleeve already done. I would fit on her shoulder area because those areas are large enough that has enough skin space to put some complicated flowers. But no, it's already taken. So then I had to move to another area. I don't want it to be background. I want it to be kind of single, like its own element. I also want it to be kind of symmetric, but not symmetric, because I don't know, that's just my personal taste. I tend to do everything kind of symmetric to 2 of them, so it's more balanced, but also they're not exactly the same. So I decided to put it on the chest with slightly different shape. But if you look into the tension it creates, this one goes over here and this one kind of goes over here. So again, it fits the rule that I was talking about earlier. I would always create a tension that runs slanted and horizontal. Okay, that was my thought. Why did I put those flowers like that? And if you look into the grass over here, the directions of the grass also is doing the same thing. So this piece of grass is going this way, and this piece of grass is going this way. The reason I added those grass there is because this piece of tattoo has a lot of red color. For the color tone to cool down, I have to throw in something that's green or blue. I have to throw in some complementary color to make the whole piece don't look too hot. So I had to throw in some grass or leaves or plants or whatever. That is also the reason why I twisted the color of the flower, because this flower, if you look at the reference pictures, they are completely red. I twisted the tip to be green because I wanted to add a complementary color into it. Since we're talking about color, I also changed the leaves of this flower to be purple because that's another personal preference. I do not like to make plants with completely green leaves because it's just a little bit too real. Personally, I think it is a little bit not artistic enough. So if I have a chance, usually I would twist the color of the leaves to be something else. That's just a personal preference. I think overall, this piece of design is still very red, like a lot of red color, pink tone. The purple can function as like a cold color to cool down the tone, so I'm glad I did that. Well, the reason I chose purple in this piece is because I couldn't make it completely green or blue as well, because if I do that, then let me quickly show you. Let's say I put all the leaves to blue color or green color. If I do that, then if you look at her whole body as a whole thing, it wouldn't be as cohesive, because her previous tattoo sleeves don't have any cool color. So if I put green or blue too obviously on her chest piece, this would start to drive attention. That would be a bad thing, because remember I said I wanted the attention to be in the center of her chest. I do not want the leaf, which is a very secondary element, to get people's attention. And for that reason, I used purple on the leaves, because it is a cold color, but also it's very subtle and it's faded to the background, so it wouldn't grab so much attention. If I really want to talk about how I use colors in my tattoo designs, I could do it for another day or many days, because there's also a lot of color theories included in how to use your color to make your tattoo designs. Let me make a quick conclusion. First of all, for bigger pieces of tattoos, you need many layers to create a depth for this piece of tattoo, so it can be deep enough and sophisticated enough, so that a client wouldn't feel tired of looking at it. It will be a great tattoo for many years. Just from the design, it's already great. The second point is for each layer of the tattoo elements. Each layer I put one type of elements in there. It could be from client's request, or it could be something I add there to complement the tattoo design. For each layer of elements, I like to make a balance there. For example, the two cranes here is balanced. And then, for example, the cloud layer here, if you look at the shape, this is also balanced, like volume-wise. It is balanced. The third thing is that I would always create a motion or a conversation or a tension in between my layers, inside every layer. For example, the cranes goes like this, the cloud goes like this flower goes like that way, this flower goes like this way again. You cannot directly see it, but it makes the tattoo alive. Like every layer is having something going on. It's very alive. So those are my main points today in terms of placement and overall layout for a chest piece like this. Next week, maybe we can talk a bit about the color used in this piece of design. Alright, thanks for watching, and if this video helps you to understand a little better about tattoo designs, please give me a like, follow, and share. It costs a lot to make those videos. Thank you for doing that for me, and if you have any further questions, you can write it down in the comments and let me know. Alright, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.